Sam,
What's up?
apparently Father Stephen DeYoung was on Tucker Carlson.
All right, let's watch this thing.
James Lindsay is very upset. Before we start this, I have some questions for you.
Go ahead.
First question. If I were to let's say burn somebody at the stake for not being a Trinitarian,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not repent of that, is that a salvation issue?
I think I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yes, but
Very well
is it a
could be.
salvation issue?
It's above my pay grade, but I would worry that it is.
Sounds kind of sola fide of you. Second question.
I think unrepentant murder is probably a salvation issue. Yes.
Because I was shocked to find out Paul does not include it on his big list of people that you should be sure are not, because he's like these.
Are you talking about Paul the Apostle?
Yeah. He like has his list.
Aren't murderers on a naughty list somewhere?
I would hope so, but I don't know if they're on a Christian naughty list. I don't know about you Christian people. I always wondered why Christians thought Jews thought murder was okay, and then I started listening to some sola fide people. It was like, oh my God, you actually believe you could be a murderer and go to heaven?
All right. 1 Timothy, what chapter am I in? 1:8. Now we know that the law is good if one uses it lawfully. Understanding this, that the law is not laid down for the just, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and sinners, unholy and profane, those who strike their fathers and mothers, for murderers.
Oh, okay.
Sexually immoral, men who practice homosexuality, enslavers, liars, perjurers, and whatever else is contrary to sound doctrine, in accordance with the gospel of the glory of the blessed God with which I have been entrusted.
Okay. Why did I think the list? I thought he had a long list of people who weren't going to heaven,
and then it says, such were some of you. There's another list in 1 Corinthians, and such were some of you before.
Yeah. But like murder wasn't on that list, if I remember.
What's on that list? That's on Corinthians.
It is?
Okay. I'm pulling up that list. I'm not sure if murderers is on it. All right. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you, but you were washed, and you were sanctified, and you were justified in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ by the Spirit of our God. So no murderers on that list.
Maybe he's saying that murderers can't even be like such were some of you, because if you were a murderer, need not apply.
Need not apply, or maybe he just didn't think of everything all in one. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not meant to be exhaustive.
Now, Nephilim. What do you think, Nephilim?
I'm not sure if I've ever met a Nephilim myself. I certainly know that it was quite common in the early Christian period to believe the more supernaturalist reading that Nephilim are the disembodied spirits of human fallen angel hybrids who were killed during the flood and now roam the earth as some sort of, marooned spirit, and that they are the demons that you see present in the New Testament stories, and that they will be thrown into Tartarus and destroyed on the Judgment Day.
Who said this?
That's common in early Christianity.
Okay.
That angels, fallen angels, satanic angels came down and copulated with human women and that created a human angel or a human spirit hybrid kind of super thingy, a giant, and then that they died, and that the disembodied spirit is.
What do you believe, though?
I don't know. I'm not positive, because I also know that there's there's a strong tradition within Judaism and Christianity. Not all Christians believe that sort of more Stephen DeYoung, Michael Heiser mythological version. But I'm not saying Stephen DeYoung or Michael Heiser made it up. I mean, it is overtly clear in many early church writings that that's what they believed.
And Christians tend to be bigger fans of First and Second Enoch than the Jews do.
That's true, especially in the early period, especially in, like, say, 1st, 2nd, 3rd century AD. And I think there are numerous clues, internal references within the New Testament that lean in that direction, or at least are hints of that sort of worldview coming through the pages, even if that full-fledged thing isn't explicit anywhere in the New Testament.
What do you think of my explanation?
That it's a human on human thing. There are Christians who believed that too. Bill Schlegel, our mutual friend, recently made a video about the Nephilim that was pro-human only interpretation of Genesis 6.
Yeah, I just think, when I first read it in the Hebrew, like when I get to B'nai Elohim, right? Like, okay,
the sons of God.
Yeah, well, okay, so how is it being used there? Because like, I am used to Elohim also referring to judges.
Right? What, you think Elohim can possibly refer to humans?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, unbelievable. You would never make it anywhere in the Hebrew department of the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
This is true, but that's because I actually know Hebrew, unlike anybody at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Burn
of Hebrew.
Burn dish. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that part of the reason we find it so shocking and so much more shocking than most people is because our modernist sensibilities. By the way, Sartori just tagged me in on a discussion where some guy was, who apparently isn't a complete idiot, was saying, why are the scriptures so without humor? Like, we don't find humor in the scriptures anywhere. It's like, ooh.
A lot of it's lost or hidden in translation.
All of it is lost and hidden in translation. This is part of the problem of reading your Bible in translation. Like, how am I supposed to translate puns to English for you?
Yeah, with creativity and care, but it's probably in many ways impossible. But even then, like Elijah jesting at the prophets of Baal in the showdown on Mount Carmel, you don't need to know Hebrew to see that he's saying smack talk at them, and it's kind of funny.
But Pajot insists that Jesus never laughed.
The Orthodox can be really weird in some of those ways. They just, sometimes there's this strain in Orthodoxy that's really suspicious of pleasure writ large. I'm not saying, not all Orthodox, but there is a prominent strain within Orthodoxy, and you can of course see it in Catholicism too. So maybe I should say within Christianity as a whole thing, that's suspicious of pleasure. And that, I don't know, joking humor would be something like indulging in pleasure. And so Jesus just needs to be this like ascetic monk-like serious figure.
Yeah. So I didn't listen to the actual podcast, but I did look at some of the comments, and they seem to fall in 3 categories. People who are mad at Father Stephen DeYoung for being a Catholic priest who is also a pedophile.
Which is interesting because he's not a Catholic priest, but shame on him for being a Catholic pedophile.
Number 2, for insufficient mention of Israel, because
of course, because it's Tucker Carlson.
if it's Carl Tuckerson, they should be talking about Israel and the Hamas eaters.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, for not explicitly making clear that they are talking when they talk about demonic hybrids with humans, that they're not talking about the Jews.
No.
And
The Jews are the Nephilim, I see.
Apparently, at least some of the comments. Yeah. I cannot wait until people who seriously believe that start Googling Father Stephen DeYoung and end up on my channel, because that's going to happen.
At least 5 people, I would say. At least 5.
Yes.
I'm expecting a huge surge in traffic into my Stephen DeYoung videos.
I have I'm pretty sure I've told you.
Sure enough, I actually am getting, I wouldn't call it a surge. I'll call it a blip of traffic into some of my Stephen DeYoung videos.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, considering how large this wave is, all the rabbit holes are going to fill with water.
Yeah. I've gotten at least, I have gotten an unusual amount of traffic in the last couple hours, and it does seem to be concentrated on my Stephen DeYoung stuff. Dozens. I'm talking about dozens of views here, Jacob.
Dozens of views. Yes. Okay. I mean, we could get into the Stephen DeYoung stuff, or we could talk about other things. Did you see the Banner article?
No. What was the Banner article?
The Banner article.
For those listening, the Banner is the CRC, the Christian Reformed Church's internal publication.
So yesterday there was there was an election for the 2026 Synod officers. I actually want you to see the Banner article and tell me what you think.
All right. Are you putting it up on the screen?
I can. Let me look it up. Banner, CRC, Banner, because I found it quite interesting here. Okay, so here's the Banner, and where's their article? CRC Banner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. This is their article yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. Talking about oh no, this is not their article. This is their.
But it's about the delegates chosen to go to Synod or represent Synod.
No, where's the Synod? I had. Let me find Synod 2026, because I saw this yesterday and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? Here we go. I found it. Okay. 4 pastors to serve Synod 2026 as officers.
Okay.
3 experienced officers and 1 new clerk. Da 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 da. Hold on, where was it? Did they change it? They couldn't have changed it. There we go. Each of the 49 classes or regional assemblies of the CRC selects the delegates they will send to Synod from current office bearers in the member congregation. Since 1995, the CRC has recognized 2 opposite understandings of women in ecclesiastical office as biblically valid. And since 2008, all duly elected and ordained office bearers may be delegated to Synod. In recent years, the number of women delegates has been declining. There are 17 women delegates to Synod 2026. And somewhere else, Synod 2022 was the most recent synod to be served by a woman officer, Deacon Luane Sankey, who was second clerk of that year. It's like, oh my God, can we stop with the woke framing? Can we stop?
Nope. Apparently not.
Anyway, okay. That was my CRC stuff to start off this very well attended will be YouTube video, probably not. But okay, so now are we ready for Tucker Carlson?
Let's launch it.
Okay, so just start talking and I'll pause it.
All right.
Thank you for doing this. Yeah. I have read Genesis, on and off most of my life. Never noticed the first part of chapter 6 with the Nephilim until about 4 years ago. Someone mentioned it to me. And in the subsequent years, I must have had 25 conversations about the Nephilim. So it seemed worth talking to someone who understands exactly what the Nephilim are. What are the Nephilim? And am I pronouncing it correctly?
I mean, good enough. Yeah. It's the I am at the end. The im is the plural in Hebrew.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a little bit of debate about where exactly the word comes from, because it's not a regularly used Hebrew word in the Hebrew Bible, which isn't all that odd either. There are a lot of words that are only used once in the Hebrew Bible.
Okay, just to be clear, the root nophel, right, which means to fall, shows up a lot in the Hebrew Bible.
So Nephilim means fallen ones, plural.
Maybe. Because maybe it's not a Hebrew word to begin with, and it's not exactly how you would conjugate the verb to make it fallen ones, if you right. So like in Psalm 145, there's Noflim, the fallen ones, right? That God
Interesting
holds up the fallen ones, but that's not Nephilim.
Okay, so if you were to turn fallen into a plural noun, we have an example of it, and it's not Nephilim.
Correct. And so I mean, look, the fact is, it's quite possible that the word is a loan word from a different ancient Near East language, which is why I would actually wonder what Yosef has to say about this. But if you're someone who knows Hebrew and you're reading your Bible, right, you're going to read Nephilim and you're going to think fallen ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Hebrew Bible does this. So we know for a fact that the name Moses is actually Egyptian. It's not a Hebrew name, Moshe, right? But the Bible says that he was named Moshe Mashituhu, that I drew him out of the water, which is using a Hebrew verb to draw out of the water. And so the Bible does this, right? And that's these two things are not mutually exclusive, right? The Bible finds Hebrew, same thing with the word Mitzrayim, right? In Hebrew, we say Mitzrayim means the place of narrowness, right? But the root masr, which is ancient Egyptian, it's what they called themselves, is not related to the Hebrew, right? So yeah, that's I think Father Stephen didn't want to go into all that in detail. So, but
it's also interesting seeing him from side angles.
Father Stephen, this is.
I've almost never seen him, in anything but like this angle before. So
have you seen him in real life?
I've not met him in real life. I was not at Symbolicon, where he wasn't at the most recent one, but I haven't seen him in real life.
He is a giant of a man.
Is he tall?
Very.
Would you call him like maybe a Nephilim sized person?
I would. So I come up to his shoulders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're not the tallest person I've ever met, but
I am not the tallest person. You are a little bit taller than me, but he's much taller.
He's properly Dutch sized.
Yes, he is. He is a very Dutch man.
Right.
He is very Dutch. Yes. Okay.
But people have tried to do different things with it. So there's a Hebrew verb nafal, which is the verb to fall. So some people have wanted to say, well, it's the fallen ones. But in Hebrew, Nephilim is reflexive, so it would be the ones who are fallen upon, yes. Which is a little.
Oh, if you're making it Hifil would be Nephil. If you were trying to make it Hifil, it would be. Good question. The ones who cause. No, you could make it the ones who cause falling. I guess you could turn it into it's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
More difficult. But it seems pretty clear. Most people agree now because there's an Aramaic word, Nephilim, that ends with an N, that just means giant. And so it seems pretty contextually clear that this is just the Hebrew form of that word, and this is talking about giants. It's translated in the Greek Old Testament with giantes in Greek, which is where we get the English word giant. But a lot of people, when they hear the word giant, now think fee, fi, fo, fum, right?
Yes.
That's not the core of the idea. So all of the words used for giant not only refer to a tall person, but could also be used to mean a thug or a bully or a tyrant. And the example I use is, and you're old enough to remember this, when we went into Panama after Noriega, they're always referring to him as Panamanian strongman.
Yes, always. Yes.
Noriega. And that wasn't talking about his awesome bench press.
No.
That was, that he was a dictator, right?
Yes.
He was an authoritarian. And so it's the same kind of idea, right? That it's characterizing these people as that sort of thuggish, brutish kind of character. And referring to them as tall or referring to them as giants is meant to symbolize and suggest that.
Okay.
And so in Genesis, at the beginning of Genesis, at the beginning of the flood story, in Genesis 6, we have to understand that the flood story is not a new story when Genesis is telling it, right? Everyone had a flood story in the ancient Near East. So the text of Genesis is not primarily claiming, oh, there was this flood. It's talking about the flood that the original audience all sort of knew had happened.
Yes. And which it did happen, I think.
Right. There is a historical event, right?
Yeah.
This is referring to. But
what do you think of that question?
Ortland.
What do you think of that particular question, Jacob?
So this is the thing, and I kind of got into a little spat with James Lindsay privately. Because
as one does.
Well, I like James. I like James a lot. He can be a prickly pear at times, but so can I, and so can many of my friends. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he would call me a friend, but we do DM every once in a while. Which his DMs are open, and he's a nice guy, and I like him. And he very much wants to stay modernist, and that's why he ends up lashing out at Pajot, and he's been kind of lashing out at Father Stephen today over this. I think people fail to realize how postmodern Father Stephen is.
Yeah.
Father Stephen, and I'm pretty sure he said this on my channel before, like me, believes that there is no going back in time, right? So we can not be pre-moderns. We can either try to hold on to modernity, or we can try to move past modernity into whatever is the next thing coming. And I believe that there is a new wave of Neoplatonism coming, because I believe Judaism is true, and I believe that the Dead Sea Scrolls are the greatest revelation of godliness since Mount Sinai. And I believe that something very real is going on in our society, where we're going to move forward into something that I would call a revivification of Judaism. And I believe Father Stephen would say is a revivification of Christianity, right? Mm. And people who are trying hard to hold on to modernism have trouble with that, right? So, I mean, what do you think of the flood? Did the flood happen literally?
Well, so I've been, I hope to do a human evolution series sometime soon on my channel. Mm-hmm. And I've been really digging into that sort of stuff. When and where and how and why, for what reason did humans evolve? Who are our ancestors? How did the current distribution of humans on the planet come to be the way that it is, and genetic diversity, and all of those sorts of things. And I'll just say, there doesn't seem to be the genetic signature of all humans being descended from one single person who had 3 sons and 1 wife, and his 3 sons, 3 wives.
5,700,
5-ish,
5,786
6,000
years
ish.
ago.
Yeah, whatever date you want to give it,
Give or
in the
take a
$5,000 to
few months.
$6,000 or 5,000 to 6,000 year ago range. That doesn't seem to be the case, nor does it seem to be the case for quite literally every other single animal on planet Earth as well, which the flood story taken literally would imply. Like koalas, koalas can barely walk. They can somewhat walk between eucalyptus trees in Australia, and they eat strictly eucalyptus tree leaves. How are the koalas supposed to have gotten from Australia to a Mesopotamian location and then back from Mount Ararat to Australia when they can't walk very far at all? And did Noah have a sufficient supply of eucalyptus leaves for a pair of Australian koalas? And if so, where would he have acquired those eucalyptus leaves?
You sound a lot like Gavin Ortland.
I don't like Gavin Ortland's regional flood idea.
You don't?
Right? I think that's a strange modernist cope. It's like a halfway house, a modernist halfway house attempt at handling the passage. It's sort of like when William Lane Craig tries to say, well, Adam and Eve existed. They were just like Homo heidelbergensis about 700,000 years ago. And it's like, so were they named Adam and Eve? So did they eat a fruit? Were they living in a garden? Like, what do you mean? Did they name all the animals?
Did they have 3 kids?
What? Did they have 3 kids? And how long did they live? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I feel like that's sort of accommodationist approach, right? Where you try and say that there was a literal level, but it's kind of like semi-literal. Just isn't convincing. So I think it's best to just go sheer allegorical. Pure allegorical. Me and Origin of Alexandria agree on this. Origin of Alexandria said that none of the stories in Genesis prior to Abraham have a literal historical corresponding level. They are strictly told at the spiritual level of interpretation.
But Abraham does.
But once you get to Abraham, then there is a corresponding historical literal. Because he says something about, and I do kind of tend to agree, that you start to get like a little bit more specific place names and people and context that seems a little bit more fleshed out, and it doesn't have quite as mythological of elements. Yeah, so that's my take, and I think that the scientific evidence compels me, and to be honest about that.
Yeah. What do you think of Omphalos?
What?
Omphalos.
Who's Omphalos?
Omphalos is the, I believe, Greek word meaning belly button. And the Omphalos hypothesis, which the Talmud teaches explicitly, did Adam have a belly button?
This is a fair question. I don't know.
This is actually a theologically difficult question, because if Adam had a belly button and he never had an umbilical cord, then God is lying to you. And therefore, many Christian theologians, I believe of the Catholic variety especially, very much object to the idea that Adam had a belly button.
Interesting.
Whereas the Talmud explicitly teaches that Adam had a belly button.
For what purpose?
So the word olam, world, in Hebrew, shares the root ayin lamed mem, which means to hide.
Okay.
And what the Jewish mystics say is that creation is itself a sort of mask that God wears, which hides him from us.
Sure.
And so this idea of Omphalos is that the world was created 5,786 years, and I believe it's about 6 months right now. 7 months, sorry. No, 8 months. 8 months. Yeah. And that God created it in a way that human beings, as a sort of veil with which God hid himself from us, so that we could think that there is no creator, and that we have the freedom of choice. And so in order to make it not completely obvious that there is a creator, there are these things which cause doubt, right? And so while the world, so Omphalos is also sometimes referred to as last Thursdayism.
How do we know that God didn't create the world last Thursday to make it look like? Yeah.
Exactly. Right. How do we know that that God didn't create? And for the people who believe in simulation theory, right, the simulation could have been started at any point.
Right. And this is sometimes brought up as an answer to fossils and things like that, like dinosaur bones or whatever, and maybe you could apply it to human genetics or whatever else you want to apply it to, that while the biblical account is literally true, even if the scientific accounts or evidence seems to point a different direction, it's sort of like a divine test of your faith or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Satan buried dinosaur bones to trick us and test our faith.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. So what do you think of that?
There's a lot of bones. Satan buried a lot of bones, and they are in a very neat and particular arrangement in terms of their layers and their development and their distribution of species. So Satan really, really spent a lot of time thinking this whole thing out. It is a very elaborate ruse, but who knows?
Okay. Let's go back to our dear friend Tucker Carlson.
We could have asked anybody from Greece to Mesopotamia to Egypt. They would have all agreed at that point that yes, there was this advanced civilization. There was a flood that destroyed it. Current civilization is rebuilt after that.
Yes.
Now, one of the key differences in Genesis 6, that you already have in those first 4 verses, is Genesis recasts what that civilization was like. So in the pagan sources, that pre-flood world was this golden age of, for the time, high technology, right? And technology in the ancient Near Eastern mind included magic. Magic was sort of spiritual technology. And all of these things happened over the land. And that sort of losing that world was sort of this great tragedy. And
but everyone agreed it was a more advanced world than the world they lived in.
Yes. That there was knowledge there that had now been mostly lost.
Interesting.
And so you find...
although it's interesting, in the Neoplatonists, you have this idea that Egypt never lost the ancient knowledge because it is a region immune from flooding, which strongly suggests that Plato had never been to Egypt, because Egypt is in fact a region very prone to flooding and way more prone to global inundation than Greece, with all of its mountains and peaks where one could theoretically try and get up away from a sea level rise event. But anyway, Plato didn't know that. He had never been to Egypt, so he thought that Egypt was a unique repository of the pre-flood knowledge. Anyway.
Okay.
After that, in Exhibit A of that is the original Babylonian Empire. So like Hammurabi's Babylonian Empire at the height of the Bronze Age. People don't understand how powerful the global structure was in the Bronze Age. It's called the Bronze Age because they were smelting bronze. They were getting the copper from Cyprus and the tin from what's now Afghanistan.
Oh, that's quite a distance.
And bringing that together, it's about bronze.
In Iraq.
Yeah. And Hammurabi had a preference for a particular style of sandal from Crete, so he was importing those. There was sort of this global economy in the Bronze Age going on. And
Hammurabi was a globalist. You heard it here first.
Hammurabi himself was from a group of people called the Amuru, who took over Mesopotamia. Amuru means in Akkadian Westerners, because they had come from what's now Syria. And those are the same people who are called Amorites in the Old Testament. We'll probably come back to them as we go forward. But Hammurabi and the other Babylonian emperors attributed their success and their ability to establish this empire to the fact that they had access to this secret wisdom from before the flood.
Do we have any sense how much earlier the flood took place? What's the timeline, roughly?
So Genesis doesn't really give us a time. There are people out there who want to like add up the years and the genealogies. That doesn't really work.
Yes.
Because different textual traditions have different numbers. They didn't have, there aren't numerals in Hebrew or Greek. And so you're using letters to code numbers.
Yes.
And so numbers get a little slippery in translation and copying and things. So a lot of people will attribute it to the earth changes that happened at the end of the last ice age.
Yes. So
you're talking roughly
10,000
years ago. Yeah. Other people are more literalist and want to add up those ages will say that it was more like 6.
But from the geologic record, because there is record of a flood.
Yeah. And there are massive, I mean, there are villages at the bottom of the Black Sea from that period, 10,000 years ago. That are submerged. Yeah. They're the remains of villages. The glacial ice that melted created a lot of large body of waters that were not there.
Yes.
And sea levels rose a great deal.
So do we think the flood came from melting glaciers?
He's not wrong about that.
That's probably.
I will say there were to go halfway towards Gavin Ortlund, but certainly never all the way towards Gavin Ortlund. Is I would say that there probably were many catastrophic flooding events, like the Persian Gulf used to be below sea level or above sea level, and that there used to. This is actually quite relevant. I've been.
By the way, on this channel we call it the Arabian Gulf because that's what the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia insist on calling it.
All right. Well, could we call it the Eastern Gulf of the United States, the Eastern Gulf of America? All right. Anyway, Persian Gulf.
Yes.
Used to be above sea level back when back during the last ice age, when more water was in ice on the continents, there was less water in the sea, so sea levels were lower. So what we now think of as the Persian Gulf was above water and dry land. And in fact, it was a land where 4 rivers came together: the Tigris and Euphrates, as well as a river from Saudi Arabia and a river from Persia, to create one giant super river. One might have even called it probably the most wonderful, luscious, habitable place on human Earth. And I actually do think that there's some pretty compelling genetic evidence that that was pretty much the cradle of human evolution for a very long time. So again, Genesis kind of right, and has interesting details in it that are kind of right. And the Persian Gulf would have flooded, and perhaps in pretty traumatic bursts, as sea level rose and then crashed through the Straits of Hormuz, and then flooded upwards. And certainly I can imagine that was a pretty tragic and terrifying event when that happened. Same with the Black Sea. The Black Sea used to be much lower and to be not at below sea level, kind of like the Dead Sea. And then sea level rose, and then water crashed through the Bosphorus near Constantinople, Istanbul, whatever you want to call the city right there on the Bosphorus, and then the water flooded the Black Sea. And so Stephen DeYoung there is correct.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
those sorts of stories could have informed the memory of what gave rise to these legends.
this is the thing. I think Father Stephen is a lot more willing to go with the archaeological evidence than a lot of people give him credit for, including James Lindsay. But yes,
that's probably the historical event that's connected to that.
Yes.
That when that ends, there's this massive shift, right? And places where there used to be civilization are now underwater, literally, right? And so, all those changes happen, and there's this massive disruption.
So the villages currently at the bottom of the Black Sea were built during this golden age that preceded the
previous
flood.
to that, yeah.
And when we believe that, and do we believe, just as modern people, that civilization was more technologically advanced than the ones that followed it?
I mean,
so the Black Sea would have flooded, basically around the same time agriculture was being invented, way before, thousands and thousands of years before the Bronze Age. That DeYoung was just talking about. I'm sure that DeYoung knows that and is trying to give some sort of short diplomatic answer to Tucker, but there's no evidence of any global flood in like that 5,000 to 6,000 year time range.
Well, that I think. See, this is the thing. I think Father Stephen. If you listen to him closely, you can see he threads a lot of needles.
Yeah,
and that's usually the case. This is why I always, I tell Father Stephen, I think when the Christians actually understand what he's trying to say, they will burn him at the stake as a Judaizer. But a lot of people think they understand what Father Stephen is saying, and I'm not sure they do.
There is some evidence in sort of Bronze Age. I mean, you can't go completely Graham Hancock on this.
Yeah, that's actually exactly the question.
Yeah.
Who's Graham Hancock?
Graham Hancock appears on Joe Rogan from time to time, and I think he's maybe even on Ancient Aliens and stuff like that. He's a prominent, I don't know, I call it stoner alt history aficionado person who's, Atlantis was real and there was a lost civilization in the Amazon, and basically every single story is true except the mainstream story, and they're trying to keep it from you, all that sort of stuff.
Everything is true except what everybody believes. I see.
Yes, yeah. Just like how the Anglo-Saxons are the real Jews, and it's a good thing to be Jewish. And in fact, maybe everyone's Jewish except the Jews, but the Jews are bad because they're the Jews.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah. And Graham Hancock, if you get into his stuff, he starts getting into some little new agey crystal technology, psychic technology stuff. That's a little iffy, but
we know that
there was definitely, you look at places like Göbekli Tepe and these things, there was definitely a level that was reached. There was a collapse. There was another move forward. At the end of the Bronze Age, there's another collapse.
Yes.
Right. And then rebuilding after that.
I mean, but there are ancient structures, stone structures, so we can't radiocarbon date them, but we don't, even now, can't say how they were built, right? I mean, how would you?
Not exactly, yeah.
Right?
We don't know exactly. We don't know because there's we're dealing with pre-literacy.
Yes.
Right. So we're making conclusions and guesswork. You go to Göbekli Tepe, you see the carvings of animals, you see the way they had skulls displayed in a certain way. We could do guesswork, but nobody left us a text to frame any of it.
Yes. You know what's really rare these days? A company that makes things in America, actually makes in their facts America. Of course, they'll take the High Point flood civil. This offer is not available anywhere else. But big picture,
that offer is not available anywhere else, and you can go to Tucker Carlson to listen to his ads.
Sure, the pre-flood civilization, we think, reached some kind of apogee, some high point technologically, and then post-flood had to rebuild.
Right, and then his Bronze Age civilization, they're attributing. Now they're not saying we have some text or something that survived the flood. They're saying that they're in contact with spirits who were active before the flood.
Yes.
And that it's the same spirits who are now revealing this wisdom to them. So you have this in Genesis 6, 1-4, this Nephilim phenomenon before the flood. And Genesis 6 says, at this time and afterward. Right. And that and afterward is pointing to this sort of recurring or continuing or happening again.
So the physical world changes, but the spiritual remains constant.
Right. And so part of that recasting of this pre-flood civilization, this isn't a golden age, this is actually an age of incredible wickedness.
Yes.
Right? And evil is that there's sort of these great kings from before the flood. You have the Sumerian kings list, other texts like this later that list the ages of the kings before the flood. And people tend to think that the ages of people in Genesis and the genealogies are kind of ridiculous with people living between 950. Sumerian kings list, you have people living hundreds of thousands of years right, in their list. So
hundreds of thousands of years?
Yes, Genesis is reserved sort of in comparison.
What is that, do you think?
A lot of that, so there's a little bit of a code to it, and this is true in Genesis also. So Babylonian mathematics was all base 60. Our math, we do base 10, right? It's a decimal system. Theirs is base 60. And the survivors of that are we have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, right? 24 hours in a day. That's the leftover from sort of that Babylonian mathematics.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know we had Babylonian minutes.
But yeah, that base 60 math. And if you look at those ages as sets of 60, there's sort of certain things encoded about the different kings and the different generations that way. Nobody's totally cracked the code in Genesis, but to give you an example, in the Sumerian kings list, the 7th king in the list is the one who creates the solar calendar. 7th person in the list. And if you look at Genesis and the Epistle of Jude, which is like a paragraph in the New Testament, he refers to Enoch as the seventh from Adam.
Yes.
If you go to Enoch in the genealogies of Seth in Genesis, he lives for 365 years. So you have the number of days, right, the solar calendar year as his age. He's the seventh person. The seventh person in the Sumerian Kings list creates the solar calendar. So there are some sort of encoded connections going on with those numbers.
I wonder what Christians think of the idea that Genesis was responding. I mean, Father Stephen says this a lot, and I have no problem with it whatsoever, but the idea that the Bible is in response or dialogue with the ancient texts that existed at the time, I think a lot of people would find blasphemous.
Michael Heiser, to be fair, was very pro that idea. Thinks that understanding all that sort of Babylonian and Ugaritic stuff is very fundamental to understanding the Old Testament. So giving your favorite biblical scholar his due.
I mean, God rest his soul.
Is there any evidence that human lifespan was much longer at one point than it is now?
That's debated by a lot of people. Certainly not. I don't think anyone thinks in the thousands of years, right?
Yes.
And part of the difficulty with that is that people hear life expectancy statistics. Like you hear that at the beginning of the 20th century, the average life expectancy in the U.S. was 35, and people think, people were living to 35 and then dying. It's like, well, no, a lot of people were dying. There's a high infant mortality rate. Right, there's a lot of people died before 35, but people who made it to 35, a lot of them, made it to 100, 120.
Yeah.
So when you're doing kind of archaeology and stuff, yeah, you find a lot of young people because there's no antibiotics, there's no right. You have a very high infant mortality rate. It's hard to tell how long the truly elderly people were living. Right.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think anybody would frame that in the thousands of years.
Yes.
So it's more about them saying something about these people. And
see, this is where I think he's again being kind of careful about leaving the door open.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, okay, I mean, we still had this in my family in Iran where people didn't know when birth dates were to the date. They would just say so-and-so was born around Passover, so-and-so was born around Yom Kippur, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the years would kind of get blurred together, and like he's 90, right? And whether he was 88 or 94, like nobody actually cared. And frankly, I'm getting to that point in my life where people ask me how old I am, and I'm like, I'm gonna be 50 soon. I'm turning 49 next month, so I guess I'm 48, but like, who cares, right? And just this modernist emphasis on the exact number of years. And I'll just say within Orthodox Judaism, we have this idea that the flood changed the laws of physics. Like we fundamentally believe, and this is one of the ways that Orthodox Jewish people get away from rationalist, modernist ways of looking at things, is we simply do not believe that necessarily all of the laws of physics before the flood are the laws of physics as they exist after the flood.
Sure. And a lot of Christian creationists will say that about the fall, not about the flood, but about that physics basically changes after the fall.
And like I said, the seventh one has the solar calendar. All of them have, in the Sumerian Kings list, have associated with them sort of the things that they discovered, but the discovery is always, it was revealed to them by this spirit. Came and this divine spirit revealed to them this and that and the other. And it's technological things like metallurgy. It's ancient technological things like sorcery and divination. And it's things about the natural world like the solar calendar.
But the ancients believe that technological advances came to them from the spiritual realm.
Right. That's where it's coming from.
But that doesn't happen at all anymore.
Well, this is sorry. Yeah. No, this is part of the larger discussion. And this is
okay. This is something that's a lot of rationalist Orthodox Jews have a lot of difficulty with. But the Code of Jewish Law, which was written about 500 years ago, the author explicitly said that an angel came to him and helped him write it.
Mhm.
Okay. And anybody, I mean, it's very hard to get away from the idea that Elijah the prophet directly visited Rabbi Isaac Luria and revealed Kabbalistic mysteries to him and still be an Orthodox Jew. But the rationalists find both of these details very, very embarrassing.
That's interesting. I mean, well, where do technological advances come from? I sort of think that there is something. I mean, I can be Platonist enough to say that. I mean, all technological ideas exist in potential, abstractly, before they are invented. I think that even a very modern modernist could agree with that the potential to make an airplane existed before Kitty Hawk. It's just that it didn't manifest, didn't happen, didn't particularize before then. So where are these ideas coming from? There's theoretically this infinite store, maybe infinite, you don't need to say infinite, abstract storehouse of every potential technological idea or invention, some of which have been made and some of which haven't.
Apparently, my stream was down for a little bit, but it's back. So I don't know. I mean,
oh, that's weird. Didn't tell us.
To be clear, this is fair use. I am doing in-depth commentary on, and this is a transformative use of Tucker Carlson's thing, doing extensive commentary on what they are talking about.
Yeah, this seems like fair use.
I am in no way impinging upon his market share, because if you want to listen to Tucker Carlson and Father Stephen, you don't need me and Sam to be adding anything to this.
So, or maybe you do. Maybe you do.
Yeah, I mean,
I should get going pretty soon, but I can do this a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, do we? Are there things we want to talk about? Like,
keep going. We'll see. Going?
Okay.
But nuclear technology definitely didn't come from the demonic.
Well, this is exact. So, within the framework of how the ancients understood it, and this is the ancients going all the way late antiquity, and this is frankly maintained in the Orthodox Church. So the mind, the Greek word that's usually translated mind is nous. It's transliterated N-O-U-S. And we're used to thinking of our mind as our brain.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this computer in our skull box,
exactly.
Right? That churns and processes. But that's not how they thought about it. They thought about the mind more as a sensory organ, like your eye.
Yeah.
So you'll see it referred to as the eye of the heart or the eye of the mind. And that the mind sort of perceives the spiritual realm. And so ideas are like sights or sounds or smells. They're not produced by the brain, right? They're not produced by the mind.
Received by the
They're
brain.
received by the mind.
Yes.
Right. And so they come from outside. Right.
But that's the experience of people who are paying attention now, even. Like, who hasn't had that?
Right. And I've never met anyone who had the experience of generating a thought. Right. Like, what are the steps from not a thought to a thought? Right.
It's such a deep point.
Yeah. So these things come from outside. And so this is in the genealogy of Cain in Genesis, right? It's Cain's descendants who invent metallurgy and use it to make weapons, right? And who discover divination and who discover music and use it for seduction and right for these other things, right? Because the idea is that these demonic spirits that are antithetical to humanity bring knowledge to humans before they're ready for it. Right? That a time would come when humanity had reached a level of spiritual maturity when they could receive this knowledge.
Yes.
And put it to proper use. And so it gets revealed early, right? And that begins with the serpent in the garden, right? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is not itself evil, right? So humanity is created innocent, right? But innocent like a child is innocent. And created for this purpose, created in God's image in order to grow into his likeness.
Yes.
And so a point of maturity would have come where humanity could have had the knowledge of good and evil and been able to make, right, good choices. Because God has the knowledge of good and evil.
Yes.
He knows what good and evil are. And this is the phrase, the knowledge of good and evil, is used throughout the Old Testament. It's used to refer to a child coming to sort of what we would call the age of accountability, coming to the age where they understand good and evil, right and wrong. And so the serpent comes and promises, the devil comes and promises, no, God doesn't want you to have this because he doesn't want you to be like him. Here's the shortcut. Get this knowledge now before you're prepared for it. And it brings about destruction. So yes, right, the atomic bomb is revealed to man. We don't use it as a carbon neutral source of electrical energy, right? We use it to make a weapon. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Nagasaki was the most Christian city in Japan.
I'm highly aware of it. I'm highly aware of it.
And
Yes.
it's one of the first things it gets used for.
Yes.
Is to wipe
I'm
out.
fixated on it, actually.
wipe out most of the Christian population of Japan.
Actually, zeroed in on a church.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that infuriates people when you say it. But it's true.
Yeah. So that's a pattern, right? And so, that is the understanding. And so they're not.
Apparently, Google very much believes this is not transformative use. I am going to see if I can in any way fix this, but come on. Let me see if no content live. Content ID matching. What? It thinks that I am just
Streaming it. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, there we go. We're back. Yeah, I think it gets whatchamacallit when there's. I mean, we're on the thing here. We're on, yeah, but
you can make us bigger relative to it picture wise. I mean, it's not
do you
that
think
necessary.
that's the
I don't know.
problem?
Maybe. Well, we can just talk a little bit more, or sort of like hum.
I mean, I can do the put in a background music thing. Let's try this. Yeah, let's see if
that confuses it.
Well, I mean, this is actually. I mean, if I could tell that this is tell YouTube that this is transformative work, but it's not letting me even do that. So, okay. Well, let's try to continue again and see if it gets nuked again. But
The promise is always, I'm going to give you the secret knowledge. This is going to give you power. This is going to give you control. This is going to give you influence. This is going to give you X, Y, Z, right? But ultimately, it ends up being toward humanity's destruction.
Yes. Cost of living is already making it hard to live here, and it's not getting any better. Unfortunately, it's likely to get
It's
worse.
the men of renown.
Men of renown.
So it's referencing these kings, these ancient kings, right?
The people in charge.
Who are looked at as heroes, as divine heroes by these post-flood.
see, okay, this is the thing. I think you can listen to Father Stephen, and if you're a modernist, you can be like, okay, like Jordan Peterson, I can agree with this. And if you're a hardcore traditionalist, you can be like, okay, I agree with this. But let's face it, Father Stephen is deliberately threading a lot of needles. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Pagans,
Yeah.
right? Look back to them as these were the leaders of the golden age. These are the great figures. These are the spirits we want to emulate, right? These are the people we want to be like. the great heroes, and instead Genesis casts them as these evil, wicked tyrants and thugs who are leading people to destruction, to chaos, right? Genesis says that it gets to the point where every thought of humanity is always evil all the time, right? That's these people are actively leading humanity in that direction. It's not just coincidence, right? They're teaching this, they're embodying this, right? And so when you have a person who are calling a giant or a Nephilim, we're talking about sort of a fully demonized human. So in the way the church has traditionally talked about sin, related to what we were just talking about with the mind, there's sort of these stages. First stage is thought comes into your mind, right? Yeah. You can't control that, just like you're walking down the street and you see something or hear something, right? Thought comes into your mind. That's not really sin yet, right? But then we start to entertain that thought, start to dwell on that thought. We start to let that thought take root, start to let that thought turn into a plan, right?
Been there.
Then we let that plan turn into action, right?
Yeah.
Then that action turns into a habit, a repeated action over time that we fall into. As it becomes a habit, it starts to take control of us. So we talk about the sins as the passions because they make us passive, right? They're acting upon us at a certain point. And you can see that with, anger, right? You reach a point where...
See, I think a modernist, if they were willing to listen to Father Stephen, would even... See, the modernist is going to say he's talking about giants, he's lost his mind. And the hardcore fundamentalist is going to say, oh, but he's spiritualizing away the demonic. And he kind of is, but he's doing both.
Yeah. And he's talking such that both can understand, and he is good at that, right? Because what he just described there is a person who gets more and more given over to bad thoughts and doing the wrong thing. A modernist could be like, oh, sure, I know that. If that's what he means by becoming more like a demon or given over to evil, well, sure, someone who gets in the habit of doing bad ethical decisions.
Apparently I need some sort of copyright disclaimer. Let me try putting this into okay. So let me try putting this into the thing. Did you guys lose the time again? Let me try putting this into the description. Okay, we're back. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I also don't want my channel taken down for this, but yeah. Okay. Well, if it goes down again, I think we might just stop streaming.
It's now driving the bus, right?
Yes.
Or lust,
Yes.
or addiction, right?
Yes.
All these things. So it gets to the point where it takes control. And then beyond that, you get what we call demonic possession, where there is this sort of spirit that is now driving full time. You're not even really making your own decisions anymore. You're kind of lost to it. And then sort of the furthest you can go in terms of being lost, when we're talking about these Nephilim and these giants, is that spirit isn't in control of you anymore. You just agree with it. You're on board with that sort of demonic spirit deliberately. You're rejoicing and enjoying, right, sort of the chaos and the destruction and the wickedness. And by the grace of God, there's relatively few of those people, right? But they do exist.
Do you mind if I just pull up the passage? Because there's one part of it I want to ask you about, which you haven't addressed, which is just how different the Nephilim are. I mean, they're substantively different. They're genetically different from people.
Do you think he's going to do KJV? I think he's going to do KJV.
And I think this is the most evocative, the most interesting, the weirdest. I think this is NIV, whatever. It's a version of the Old Testament.
I was wrong.
Human beings began to increase in number in the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal, and their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in these days, and also afterward. And the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children with them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown.
Yeah.
So that's describing mating between spiritual entities, sons of God, whatever that means, and human women. Yes. Really the rape of them, which whoever they choose suggests rape.
Right. Yeah.
So what is that?
Yeah. So Sons of God is used, for example, in Job. This is referring to a group of, and what we call angelic beings.
Yes.
So the ancient texts, including ancient Jewish texts.
See, but he doesn't go to where Jesus goes, which is in the Psalms, which says, "You are all the sons of God."
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is part of Christians just being so dismissive of the divinity of humanity.
Yeah, well, and part of it's a strong temptation for Trinitarians who want to keep Jesus's divinity categorically unique.
Yeah. This is why I say ultimately Trinitarians don't just deny Jesus's divinity, humanity. They deny his divinity as well.
Mm-hmm.
The two, like, Jesus understood divinity, I believe, in a Jewish sense, where a human being is representing divinity in the world. And I think that was part of his message, which I don't think Christians can truly accept, which is...
Or at least not the Trinitarian ones, but yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you're not a Trinitarian, are you actually Christian, Sam?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We use small g gods to refer to them, but that makes us really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, small g gods, and that makes people really uncomfortable.
World
As monotheists, yes.
Angelic beings works a little bit. Right,
yeah.
But even that, we think of angels and we think, kind of effeminate guy with wings, right? And that's not really what angels are. Angelic beings are sort of vast cosmic intelligences.
Yes.
And so we have to sort of think about that a little differently, like what a spirit is. But yes, this is talking about them having intimate relations, right, with human women, and that is involved in the production of these people, right, of the giants who we were talking about, right, and their sort of reproduction, right, on the earth. And
okay, so that's a different genetic profile. They're not fully human.
Right. And so this is
now we're getting freaky.
Yeah, this is also an inversion, right? Because of course,
see, genetic profile, I don't think, like, where are you getting genetic profile from? This is your modernist take.
There's this whole worldview, Jacob, that and I should really get going maybe in 5 or 10 minutes. But there's this whole worldview of like the ancient aliens kind of stuff. Yeah. That has a lot of books, a lot of speakers and podcast appearances. It's really kind of Gnostic in a lot of ways. And I mean that, you know that I try and mean that word very precisely when I use that word. And it was funny. I was on a fishing trip in Florida. I was in Florida on spring break with my dad, whom you've met, and we were fishing with a fishing guide in Florida. And this fishing guide, well, my dad made the mistake of mentioning the Nephilim, which one should never do in mixed company. And then this fishing guide picked up on it and went on this hours-long monologue while we're trapped on his fishing boat about all of this stuff. And, I was like Googling it afterwards. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, it was so detailed that he clearly couldn't have made this up himself. He's, Florida man theology. Where did this Florida man theology come from? And I was like, oh, it's like this, there's this whole online thingamajigger that generates it. And they think that there's some difference between like blood types that are positive, ability to reproduce with each other, and that the positive blood type is like the Nephilim signature and the negative type is like the human substrate, and that there are basically Nephilim descendants walking around. Some of us are, some of us aren't, and that it left a genetic signature in humanity. And it's this weird hybrid of like Gnostic mythology and like scientific stuff. And they'll talk about, well, Nephilim are just creatures that operate on a higher frequency. It's like, what do you mean by frequency? Like, that's, it's like Gnostic cosmology wrapped in kind of pseudo-modern scientific verbiage that makes it sound friendly to modernist things. But like they have this, multi-stacked level worldview. and that the Nephilim are from a higher plane of existence or frequency of operation. You know, what an old Gnostic would have called an archon or something like that. And so Tucker seems increasingly tapped into that Florida man theology that I was talking about. So that's where he's getting it from.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm giving up on Tucker. This stream has definitely been 100% fair use, and I will fight Tucker if he tries. But this is as much of you can go listen to the rest of Father Stephen on your own, because this is the thing. So T-Grog apparently is losing his mind on my channel. So here, I'll show you guys my whatchamacallit, as I am wont to do, my X stream. So I put, I can't wait to see the flood that will be coming down my rabbit hole after this. And T-Grog says, just more lying priests. What else is new? Tucker is a grifter who will platform anyone. And Michael says, T-Grog just T-Grogging. And he says, you buy this the bullshit this priest is peddling. And the funny thing is, I think if Tim could listen to what Father Stephen is saying, he would actually, like, he can't hear it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem here. We have modernists and pre-modernists, and we're living in a postmodern world.
Yeah.
And I don't have I told you my completely materialistic, completely scientifically acceptable to a Western modernist view of the world explanation of the Torah?
No.
So I am not saying I believe this is true. And every time I say this, people are like, oh, that's how Jacob is a modernist. I don't believe this is true, but if this were to happen, I would be in no way, it would in no way be outside the bounds of my faith. Let's say tomorrow, an unidentified aerial phenomenon lands on the Temple Mount in the shape of Ezekiel's temple, and a bunch of biblically accurate seraphim come out of it and say, we have been communicating to you guys for the past 4,000 years in the best ways you could understand it through our native tongue of Hebrew, right? This would be, in my estimation, completely in sync with everything I have believed so far, and would in no way shatter my faith. I mean, I believe that if such a thing were to happen, these seraphim, if you want to call them that, would totally believe in one God who created the world and and in the absolute truth of the Bible, which they revealed to us as human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people would be very disappointed. Would you be very disappointed?
I hope not. I don't know. Maybe.
Depends what they think of this Jesus guy.
Yeah, I want to hear what they think of this Jesus guy.
If they agree with what I think of this Jesus guy, would you be very disappointed?
I'd probably dismiss him. Be like, oh, Jacob sent you. I know what this is about. I'm not going to fall for that.
Then they would be the Antichrist, right?
All right, and that's the tricky thing.
See, I am so glad Judaism doesn't have this idea of an Antichrist. It's such a bad idea. Gamliel in chapter 5 of Acts. I only wish Christians would spend more time in chapter 5 of Acts. Okay, I know you have to go. I am not going to I'm not going to continue with the thing. I am going to actually drop the link and allow people to come and join our little stream here. But before you go, how's the family?
Family's good. Baby number 5 is due in August. So
Mazel tov.
yeah.
You are the man. You are the man.
I'm a man.
This is why they put you on the school board, because you have more kids in the school system than most of the other parents. So
It's true.
Imagine if you got to be on the school board based on how many kids you have in the school system.
I think we should get to vote based off of how many kids we have. Adults should be able to vote weighted based on their number of children.
I would totally agree with that. In fact, I would be willing to disenfranchise anyone who's not married with children.
Yeah.
You get divorced, no vote.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm glad for Father Stephen. I know that going on Tucker is a controversial thing to do. But if Tucker's really just going to let you talk a whole bunch, I don't blame or criticize Father Stephen for that. So I'm happy for him, and I feel like it sheds some extra light kind of closer to our corners of the internet. I have in fact gotten maybe a few hundred views now on my channel in the last couple hours that are almost all traffic coming to my Father Stephen videos. So
let me see if how do you even check that?
Just go into analytics.
Analytics.
And then underneath real time, there's the see more button. Kind of over there on the right.
See live count or see more?
Yeah, see more underneath see live count.
Okay.
And you can see all of your videos and how much they're getting in the last 48 hours and how much they've gotten in the last 60 minutes. And I can see that multiple of my Father Stephen videos have gotten noticeable spikes in the last few hours.
Yeah, Conversation with Father Stephen DeYoung Part 1 has gotten 26 views in the last 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my CRCNA Synod video has gotten 23 new views in the past thing. Did you know Andrew's becoming an electrician?
Congratulations, Andrew, on your electrician hood.
Thank you. You're too kind.
So Andrew, what did you want to say?
What?
What did you want to say? You've been asking me to drop the link for forever.
Dude. There's techniques to getting around all the copyright BS, right?
I am not trying to get around copyright BS. I am actually using fair use. Like, this stream has been completely fair use, including the fact I only used about a third of Tucker's video. So the idea that this stream is anything other than fair use is just bad technological parts on YouTube. And frankly,
you can say it's bad technological whatever, blah 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 blah, but at the end of the day, if you don't trick YouTube,
I am not going to spend my bandwidth on trying to learn how to trick YouTube.
It's not that hard.
I believe you, but whatever. And yes, Claire, I said I would disenfranchise
Yeah.
myself. There are many ways in which I would disenfranchise myself. The only reason I believe immigrants should be allowed to vote is because Native Americans, because indigenous Americans, heritage Americans, as they call themselves, tend to be way too woke. The fact of the matter is, until you've lived in a shithole country like I have, you don't actually appreciate the United States.
Well, it helps. I like to think I appreciate the United States, and I, as Samuel Adams, and descendant of, I think, at least 7 people on the Mayflower, as you can get, trying to appreciate and be grateful for the United States. Anyway, I should go. Thanks, Jacob.
Give your
Have a good
best
one, Andrew.
to the other Sam in your house.
All right,
Have a
will
good
do.
one.
I should make a video about Florida Man, though. That was interesting.
What's Florida?
The Florida Man theology, the ancient aliens theology I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I probably should go back and try to read some of these. I mean, we had Dr. Shara for a little bit. We had President Foxman for a little bit. We had like lots of people watching. So, yeah.
And another aspect of Florida Man theology is that aliens helped humans figure out how to build the ancient buildings from the classical past, except they weren't aliens. They were higher frequency entities who've been in civil wars and existed for hundreds of thousands of years and visit Earth periodically to rejuvenate their DNA and all sorts of things along those lines. Anyway, with that, talk to you all later.
President Foxman, you could jump on. I haven't. I don't have. I don't have access to Paul Vanderklay's whatchamacallit, because I refuse to give money to YouTube just to be able to watch more Paul Vanderklay videos I shouldn't be watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we going to talk about, Andrew?
Well, I didn't watch too much of the Tucker Carlson thingamajig. He seems what can I say?
There's lots of things you could say.
From what I know of Tucker Carlson, he used to be a news anchor. He was very on point. He would get things out. It seems he's gotten a little bit weepy now.
Tucker Carlson has kind of sort of lost his mind, but that's okay because people lose their minds. Yeah, people lose their minds all the time. That's why. Oh, President Foxman is at work.
What was the what's the reason Tucker Carlson lost his mind?
What is the reason he lost his mind, or what makes me think he has lost his mind?
No. What's the reason?
I think that you have. I think what you have is people. Have I ever talked to you about institutional betrayal before?
Occasionally.
So, when you are betrayed by institutions, not individuals, that can very much just shake your entire world. You start wondering what else has been lies, and what you can trust, and you become anxious and paranoid, and it's a completely understandable state to be in. I mean, Tucker Carlson has been at in the focal point of American power and sense making his entire life. His father was a prominent journalist, which led to him becoming a prominent journalist. He has been in contact with the people who run the United States his entire life. And he's gotten to a point where he's like, these people are lying to me. And they are. And a lot of what he has believed his entire life has been lies. And it is. And he doesn't know what to think. And he's trying to figure it out. And I don't blame him for being bad at it. We're all bad at it to some degree. But at this point, I believe his. Should I let Claire on? Claire,
No,
like
no.
you got no? Okay.
no.
Like if you, I don't think he's an asset. No, I seriously think what's happened is that he genuinely feels betrayed and doesn't know what's real and what's not real. And that's understandable. That's what a lot of people feel like, especially after COVID. And I guess I've just been swimming in that water my entire life because, you know, I grew up in a shithole country and I came to the United States and my level of skepticism at everything and anything people told me was pretty high, although I have to say not high enough. But let's go back to my rule number 1 of Discord. First rule on my Discord server. We are all here because we see a lot of not only incompetence, but downright corruption. It is eating away at our society. People are justifiably distrustful. I hope it is perfectly clear that I am just as much worried about corrupt and not negligent administration of power as everyone else here. But the solution is not to stop trying to find trustworthy people. It is to secure our distributed cognition, to earn each other's trust and extend that trust in competent ways. The distrust should not be allowed to make you try to think for yourself. Thinking for yourself is the dumbest thing you could do. It's not something you can do. It's something you can try to do, and it's dumb to try to do it. Human beings cannot think individually. We are social creatures. You have to find other people to think with. And if anything, I think what's happened to Tucker is he has been increasingly isolated in his understanding of it in the group of people that he is trying to understand the world with. Still there, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm still there. Well, I'm glad he's doing variety content.
I think, you know, see, this is part of my disagreement with James Lindsay. James Lindsay's like, nobody should go on Tucker. Everything Tucker does is evil. And it's like, I don't think so. I think everything exists for a reason, and that's an article of faith I have. And I don't think people should be platforming Tucker Carlson. So if you have an audience, but at this point, it's impossible to platform Tucker Carlson. right? I wouldn't invite him to one of my cocktail parties because I think there's something right about the fact that he who's the is this Claire?
Don't want to know.
How would people feel if I were the next member of TLC to go on Tucker? Who is this? Is this Claire? I think it might be Claire. I think it is Claire. Operating only on truth, logic, and morality. Apparently, this is Claire. Like, yeah, sorry, Claire. Don't think you're gonna end up being the next Tucker thing. Tucker exists to platform other people. Yeah, to some extent. Look, I don't know what to do with Father Josiah Trenum. I really don't know what to do with him. I wonder if he wanted to come on my channel, if I would have him. I really don't know if I would.
Too much education.
No, Father Josiah has never reached out. I met him briefly at when we went to his church at Chino. It is very obvious to me that he is someone who seems to be trying his best, and his best is not as good as I wish it were. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Why are you so sad, Andrew?
Why am I so sad?
Yes, because you should be sleeping and you were at work last night.
I should be sleeping. I have work tonight.
You have work tonight.
Yeah. And I have a class that I'm decently sure that I didn't finish in time. But
Andrew,
it's an extracurricular class, and it's
what do you
kind of
mean
for
it's
my own benefit.
extracurricular?
hmm
What does extracurricular mean in the context of trade school?
It means that it's not required by the union or the state, but it's good for me to know.
Yeah. So
support.
why don't you just go ahead and learn it?
I'm kind of crunched, which is why I'm spending my time with you.
Apparently, okay. Go do something.
No, Jacob. Come
No,
on.
you're not going to go do something
Jacob, come
with your life.
on.
What?
Jacob, come on.
What? Go be productive.
No. I've been productive a good bit.
Claire desperately wants to talk.
Don't
That's-
let her on.
What do you have against Claire? She's sexually attracted to you. Every time you come on, she like gets hot under the collar. Did we lose Andrew? 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 Well, it looks like we lost Andrew. I don't know what to say. Since when does Jan God know the word punum? Do you think Father Josiah isn't at his peak, shall I say, on purpose? No, I think he is. I think Andrew's back. Andrew, are you back? Andrew? Is Andrew back? I don't think Andrew's back. Andrew. There he is.
That's good.
Okay, you're back. What was I saying? No, I think so. I have to say, I I give non-Arabic speaking priests of the Antiochian persuasion a lot more wiggle room than I do ones who actually speak Arabic. Because if you're an Antiochian priest and you don't speak Arabic, I mean, I have to say, like, I'm thinking mostly of Father Andrew Stephen Damick, right? Whose wife is Palestinian, Syrian and Palestinian. Like, I think there's a lot that such a person doesn't. The Middle East is a very different world. It's a very, very, very different world. And I've never been able to blame Americans for not understanding that world, no matter how hard they try. I keep on thinking of Jake, the Muslim metaphysician. Well, I mean, Don, you can feel free to wrench Claire if you want. So Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, doesn't get it. So, like, yeah. And he's living in Morocco and married to a Moroccan woman, and he's a Muslim, but he still doesn't get it because he doesn't get it. Lord Dauntless says, I am Antiochian myself. I understand what you are saying. Not fluently Arabic, but learning modern. I get what you are saying in terms of the Middle East, but not necessarily Father Josiah. Yeah. Okay. Are we actually going to have more of a discussion, or am I going to end this? I should rephrase. I agree, but I don't understand if this makes sense. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I have read many, 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 many times the article about Cardinal Pizzaballa and how he I don't think Father Josiah is a hateful person. In fact, I think he's not hateful at all. I think that's part of the problem. He doesn't understand hate, and I think that's what happens when you're an American who cannot, like, Americans don't understand the Israel-Palestine situation, and I don't know if there's any way to make them understand, despite the fact that they so much want to understand. And they're very compassionate people there are very, very compassionate people who try very, very hard to understand that situation, and it's just too much for them. And that's a problem. I believe Father Josiah was actually talked about this once, has actually talked about. Syrian called his church once to ask when the Arabic services were. I can't remember the rest. Well, yeah. This is one of the things I told Andrew when he was getting baptized into the Coptic church. Told him, the more religious a person is, the more they're going to believe that you're Coptic. And the less religious a person is, the more they're going to say, I don't care if some priest dunked you in some water, you're never going to be Coptic. And Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Matthew says, it's true. Y'all just aren't trying hard enough to get along. I don't know what you're talking about, Matt, but I wonder because when I met Matt, is somebody else? Oh, I guess my whatchamacallit went off and on again. My stream. When I met Matt, I was very, very impressed with a lot of the stuff that he said. I agreed with Matt a lot more than I anticipated in Georgia. Okay, am I ending the stream?
No, let's keep talking about Tucker
Why?
because it's neat.
Is it? Is it though?
I thought it was neat. Well, I listened to the first like 15 minutes, but I thought it was neat.
I got bored with it.
You got bored of it?
I got bored with it. Make Tulos great again.
Maybe. I can see why you'd be bored with it. I mean, it's mostly you know, whatever, misguided people getting closer to the truth.
I don't think most people understand. Talk about Tucker and the stream going to go down again. Yeah, probably.
No, not probably.
Definitely.
No, you'll be fine. As long as you're not restreaming it, you'll be fine. They're happy for the free publicity.
What do you mean restreaming it? I'm not. I was. I mean, I
wasn't
would be
restreaming it. Yes, you
surprised
were,
if
Jacob.
I would be surprised if Tucker's own channel takes me down, but like Google might.
If you're just talking about it, no, you'll be fine. Anyhow, whatever. You're bored with it. Why?
I mean, I think I understand what Father Stephen is saying better than the vast majority of people who are going to listen. And I don't know how much my attempts to describe it is going to. I mean, Don, you never jump on. Matt, you should jump on.
I don't know, man. Just say that whatever. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find my thingamajig.
Your thingamajig?
My thingamajig, yeah. I think if you just lead with like whatever Christianity is a sect of Pharisaism, then I think people will catch on pretty quickly.
No, I don't think they will.
Really? I don't think they're that daft.
So
I really don't think they're that daft.
So David tried to wear his shirts to church once, and people just didn't get it.
What do you mean they didn't get it?
The shirt that I gave
they said
you guys.
Well, they're evangelical, so they're not going to care.
They're actually Anglican, but
theoretically they're Anglican. They're evangelical.
You think Father Stephen's education has a lot to do with that? It's not his education. I don't think it's Father Stephen trying to be cryptic. I think he's trying to get himself across as well as he can.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think he could be on the let me rephrase this. On the Orthodox channels, I think he's perfectly clear.
I don't think he's any more clear on the Orthodox channels than he is anywhere else.
I think he's very willing to say yes, like Jewish people, they should be keeping Torah and all that jazz, But I think if he were to go around saying, yeah, Christianity is a sect of Pharisaism, then people would catch on very much more quickly than whatever he's doing now.
What is he doing now? What is he doing now?
Boo.
Boo?
Yeah, sorry, I cut out for a bit. What'd you say?
I asked you, what is he doing now?
Talking about the root of Nephilim instead of
Okay.
saying, oh, Christianity is a sect of Pharisaism.
I think you
Also,
just want.
I'm a dual PhD in biblical studies and philosophy and an archpriest.
I don't think he's finished his second PhD yet.
Okay, well, don't be pedantic. You know what I'm saying.
I think I do, yeah.
Do you think he should speak as one having authority? Yes or no?
But he doesn't have authority. He's a priest.
He's just an archpriest.
According to the order
He's
of
just an
Melchizedek.
archpriest with a dual PhD. He doesn't have authority, not compared to the rest of us. Right? He's
not compared to Israel, like the Jews who actually are the light onto the nations. I mean, what is he compared to Chazi? He's not even a Zionist. I wonder what kind of interactions the Father Stephen being on Tucker is going to end up causing for this channel. That'll be interesting.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
we'll see.
One of my Coptic buddies was asking about Judaism.
Was asking about what?
Judaism.
What was he asking about with regard to Judaism? That bad?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He's not a. He's not some sort of anti-Semite. He's
okay. He's just curious and silly.
He's just curious, and he doesn't get it. And
he's like,
I mean,
how could these Jews not understand that Jesus is the Christ?
Yeah. I think it really, you have that point of like, yeah, Christianity is kind of centered around Judaism, right? And I think that was another nail driving home. I don't know if that's the right phrase. Another bullet point.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
I think, I grew up in like a evangelical whatever thing where like getting back to the early church is the whole deal, right?
Okay.
Having some sort of Coptic dude talk about Judaism, is also like a bullet point about Christianity being centered on Judaism.
I don't think you can be a Christian without understanding what it means to believe that Jesus is the King of the Jews. Like, And I don't think you can be a Christian without believing Jesus is King of the Jews. And so Christianity has to deal with that question, and it's failed to do it well for 2,000 years. And
Yeah.
I'm not very confident it's going to improve anytime soon.
Well, new Lord of Spirits episode just dropped
Yeah.
called the Samaritan Apocalypse, where he talked about the what was it, the tribe of Ephraim and the fullness of the Gentiles and all that. And I thought that was pretty cool.
The fullness of the Gentiles.
Something like that.
What are people saying in the comments?
Of that video? Let me check.
No, of my video.
Of your video. Oh.
Yeah, I can't play Minesweeper and look at the chat at the same time.
Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. People are that daft. Someone's playing chess. Peugeot did a video on how Judaism and Islam are antichrist in different ways.
Ha! Really? When was this?
It was fairly recent.
Huh.
Peugeot. You know, I like Peugeot. He not because I agree with everything he says, but because he is willing to think imagistically, and
He's a nice guy. I mean, I think of him as a nice guy. I think of a lot of people as nice guys. I think of you as a nice guy. Heaven have mercy on your soul.
You're too kind, Jacob.
I am. That's part of the problem. I should be a lot meaner than I am.
Let's see. Peugeot clicks. So what's next for Fountain of Comfort, huh?
Well, we got $10,000. The question is, what are we gonna do with that $10,000? And Chezi has his little conference in Jerusalem for Noachides. For a minute there, it looked like it was possible that they were the conference was it was a mistake, but it looked like the conference was only $250. It was like that can't be right. So I was double checking, but while I was waiting to find out and to have it clarified, I was wondering, I mean, if it had been actually $250, we could have done like a Fountain of Comfort conference around it. Now that I graduated, I want to finish my children's book and possibly make Fountain of Comfort distribute copies. That might be good. I don't know. What do you think should be next for Fountain of Comfort? What would you do with $10,000?
Well, it's been a while and I've completely forgotten what Fountain of Comfort is. So let's go to the website, huh?
Fountain of Comfort is a public resource for mental health.
Let's see here. Professional development, peer counseling, public education. Counseling is part of resources guided by professionals. Professionals. Well, I think you should do something. And I think you should have an eye on being sustainable. And I don't know how this whole nonprofit thing works, but you know, making money is making money. And of the programs that actually make money, it seems like your professional development thing is the most viable there.
Well, I
So-
mean, the Open Therapy Institute exists, and they're doing the stuff better than I really think I have a opportunity to do it. And they've been going for a while, and I'm not going to try to duplicate their effort, and I'm not very impressed with how far they've gotten. I wish more people were interested, but like, I haven't heard from Gage in a while. I haven't really heard from Ryan Lewis in a while. Definitely haven't heard from Emma's husband in a long time. Max is busy with his stuff. I haven't heard from Sevilla in a long time. So I don't know who I'm going to do professional development with better than what's its name already has done, Open Therapy Institute.
I mean, do you want to just help out homeless people?
I
that's always an option.
do, but if I'm gonna do that, so I applied for a job and I'm still waiting.
I don't mean like talking to them about their problems. I mean like, you know, giving them showers and clothes. That's kind of important.
That's not the problem they have. They're like, there are more than enough showers and more than enough clothes. That's not the problem. In fact, there are too many showers and too much clothes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So we have these people who we call frequent flyers.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, they've learned how to use the system, and they use the system, and they're comfortable living, you know, hey, if I don't actually have to work, and I can get food and clothes and shelter and everything I need, why would I not just live that life? And it's not precisely laziness, although there is a certain amount of that. A lot of these people are dealing with what I would characterize as learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people are dealing with just not having community and not having a sense of self-worth and not having any meaning in their lives and nihilism. And so it's not the material, like, that's not the problem. The problem is not like more material care only would make them even more miserable than they are now. Oftentimes. Depends. But like, yeah, just I have said it before, it is kinder to stab a homeless person than to give them $1. And I would say that pretty much applies also to food and clothes. You're not doing anyone a favor by doing that. Which is unfortunate, because if it was that easy, homelessness would have been solved a long time ago. It's not that easy.
All right. Well, I think Fountain of Comfort should do something.
I would agree with you.
And there we go. All right. So what are we gonna do?
Ixnon says Jesus being king of the Jews is probably more important for Jews than non-Jews. Nope, it's absolutely the other way around. Because if Jesus were actually king of the Jews, yeah, it would matter. But since he's not, we don't care. But you guys insist that he is, which makes you care. That's the problem. What you said about Christians understanding Jesus as king of the Jews is that for Trinitarians or otherwise, I think all Christians, Trinitarians or not, have this theory of Jesus being king of the Jews. Nate Heil made a comment on Pajot's video, much better than mine. Pajot can be disappointing. Addictions is definitely a part of it. If people subsidize their brokenness, why try to get better? Yeah, that can be a problem. I haven't watched the Nate Heil video in a long time.
Fountain of Comfort.
What about it?
What's it doing?
Well, as I was saying, I applied for a job with the Department of Mental Health. And my thinking is that if I do end up working with the Department of Mental Health, which I might, then I will have a much better idea how to spend resources after that than I do now. I don't want to waste resources. Not that I would be wasting. I mean, if I just wanted to give the resources, like if I just wanted, there are things we could be doing, but like $10,000 really isn't that much money, unfortunately. Have you noticed?
You're faithful with a little bit, and then you get a lot. I think some guy said that.
Oh yeah,
He's really important. That guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been trying to be faithful with what, yeah, and I don't think I've been burying the talents. Have I been burying the talents?
You tell me.
I keep on yelling at Paul about burying his talents.
Well, what's Fountain of Comfort doing?
Fountain of Comfort is.
Listen, dude. You can say like, hey, I take $5 from Fountain of Comfort and make a pie with it and give it to my local synagogue, and I'd be happy.
My local synagogue doesn't need a pie.
You giving the pie is important.
I guess.
I guess.
I think maybe if we actually have, I think if I write the book, which I should, frankly, soon. I've run out of excuses. Then distributing copies of that book for free would be a good effort, because especially for people who have kids, I think that would be a good thing. You convinced me. I should be writing the book.
Okay. Do you want to?
Do I want to what?
We all know that like Fountain of Comfort. This is kind of a religious thing.
Is it? Is it? What makes you think Fountain of Comfort is a religious thing?
Everyone on the board is religious.
Yeah, I was joking. Yes, obviously, Fountain of Comfort is a religious thing.
I mean, do you want to lean into the whole?
No, Rabbi
Mental
Wagner told me not to, as did Mother Markella. Both of them are like, no.
You can say it's a subset. You can say like, hey, we subsidize the whatever Tanya.
No. That's not to see that would be a total defeat of everything. No. See, you don't get it. You don't get it.
I'm not saying it's everything, but it can be a part.
Well, that's the point of the book, is that it provides a better. Here, let's watch a video of the Rebbe kosher meditation. You guys will love this video.
The 1960s and 70s saw an explosion of spiritual movements and religious cults. Hundreds of thousands of young men and women searching for meaning, a disproportionate number of them Jews, were unassumingly lured into idolatrous groups. Here the Rebbe addresses one of the popular trends of the time. Assuming sincerity on the part of the young seekers, the Rebbe finds the positive spark in a potentially harmful spiritual practice and offers a healthy alternative.
The Rebbe spoke in Yiddish, so I will read the subtitles. Kosher Tammuz, Kosher Meditation, 13th of Tammuz, 5739, July 8th, 1979. My birthday is the 12th of Tammuz, in case anybody cared. Not 1979. Regarding everything in life, the verse states, behold, I have set before you life and good. And the verse mentions the opposite choice as well. This is Deuteronomy 30:15, I believe.
Mamshech der Hepech von Chaim v'Teiv is doin
Concerning idol worship, for example, the Talmud states,
der Ruf Feichet, bedugme wie me gefind en nev de Avede Zora, o beloschen ha Gemorre v'chim mipnei ha
should God destroy his world just because of fools?
Shetim, yabe des Elomei, asido
The idolaters who worship the sun, moon, and stars?
ev de Avede Zora was de dine la Shemesh v'la Yoreach, o lekeich v'ha Shomayim, aduru
Because the forces of nature are positive and beneficial.
was sie seinen Dvorim Tevim Meili. Macht men der
Some people worship them as divine powers,
Funayini shall Avede Zora bis wird
thereby expressing rebellion against God, the King of Kings.
Avede Zora merida bemelach malcham lochem HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Und am Emon Detail
And when the Talmud asks, why do the sun and moon exist?
farvosi do Shemesh ve'Yoreach, wie bald das ist einer geworden an
If they have become objects of idolatry,
Avede Zora entferten auf der Ruf,
the response is, should God destroy his world just because of fools?
mipnei ha-Shetim.
Jacob, I have a question for you.
What's your question?
My question is, what's the point?
You haven't listened to the rest of the video.
Listen, Jacob. Listen, Jacob. Pontificating is the death of wisdom.
The man was the Messiah in 1992. What am I going to add to the words of the Messiah?
What, Jacob, as holy and as messianic as the Lubavitcher Rebbe was, I don't think he knew about Fountain of Comfort.
Do you know how you say Fountain of Comfort in Hebrew?
Okay, yeah, all right. Well,
Do you know how you say Fountain of Comfort in Hebrew?
You kind of got me there.
It's Mayan Menachem.
Okay, all right. Well.
Do you know what the word
does-
Menachem means?
At the very least, does the
Do you
seventh,
know who
at the
Menachem
at the
was?
very least, does the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe talk
Yeah.
about Fountain of Comfort in the next 5 minutes?
Yes, in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. Then we'll watch the video.
That's the whole point.
For the sake of Fountain of Comfort, we'll watch the video.
As the Talmud, we'll make that 6 minutes. As the Talmud answers in Tractate Avodah Zarah,
Sagt dem sich Avede Zora. Auf der sei davon herausgekommen in
the
Jahren von Avede
same principle applies to an idolatrous practice that has become a recent trend
Zora, am verbindet
involving incense rituals,
das mit Linien von Kteres, der Linien von
self-effacement, and prostrations before an idol,
Ishtachavo Bittel, für a Pessel, und Ishtachavo
and prostration before men of flesh and blood.
lebosser vadam, und sie davon
This new plague, not even listed in the Torah,
geworden, der neue Makkah, Shalik Suva Batera, wo sie in Ispat
has spread in this country and in others.
geworden bei Medina Zut, und der Grech Techekle Medina Sacheris, bis a viele,
And even in the Holy Land,
ist Akedesh, a Nomen gegeben,
it has been given a sophisticated name,
a Nedel Nomen, das Weltongels Meditation,
meditation or transcendental meditation,
und Transcendental, das ist Meditation,
meaning surpassing the intellect
Leila Misekel Vedas, le Leila Medina,
and beyond limitations, to transcend.
Hagbolo, und mi verbindet
It is combined with incense rituals
mit Ayinin Koomo von Avos Kteres, Bepeil, und dann noch mit
and other practices that are literally forms of idolatry,
Kam Millionen, was einen Avede Zora Mamos, oder Alkohol,
or that border on idolatry.
Von ihm ab Israel da wird Zor. Mir gefindt doch in a
In the redoubled darkness of exile,
Koffel und Kuppel von Golus, ich komme nur Lehil.
most people don't appreciate
Wie sich mit Michael die Zoll
just how many Jewish young men and women,
von jüdische Kinder, Englisch, Mädels, viele Echeter,
and adults too,
Erwachsene, was einen reingefallen,
have been caught in this trap.
Betach, Jekschim, als wie seine Gewalt
Young people who were experiencing inner turmoil,
zurudert. Oder a Chaver
or whose friends were in turmoil,
oder a Chaverte gewalt zurudert. Und Bishar Seres
have fallen into cults.
reingefallen in unter dem Kult, wie sie rufen das Sonne. Hat das Hem gebracht,
And there they found peace of mind, emotional tranquility,
Menucha, a Nefesh, Menuchas a Zabim, wie sicher
and generally improved mental health.
Bries a Nefesh, Kipschuta, und mit das verbunden
They attribute this to the incense, the relaxation method,
kommen, dass die Dikteres und die Menucha und die Isbegde
the seclusion, prostration to the guru, and the like.
und die Stachevos zu dem Guru, wie Kajese was er. Dort lässt sich
These people are in need of healing.
wegen Menschen, was darf man haben, mal vor, gedei soll
The nature of their ailment is such, God forbid,
haben die Refui, dass Asami sollt nachle, was man nicht zwar, was zu malen Menschen darf,
that before all else, their nerves must be calmed,
beruhigen die Nerven, beruhigen
and their psyches must be calmed.
Nafsche Bichlal, wo das kann
And their healing can only be attained through an approach
sein, darf durch den Weg, was hat,
which today has become known as meditation. And now this is the part which becomes relevant to our discussion.
ihnen, wo das wird angerufen, mit der Bescheid Meditation. Wir kommen
This is similar to the sun and moon, which are not
Ziel,
equal.
dass sie bedürfen von Schemisch wie Joreach. Sie hasst wie Scholem zu sagen,
God forbid to say that this healing requires idolatrous practices.
das muss sein verbunden mit Ayinisch, aber wie die Sorge. Das Ayinisch,
This is about healing, as has already been seen.
aber die Fuhe, wie mir sagt, es wird Peer. Die, was haben geprüft,
Those who have implemented kosher meditation therapies
zu heilen, in a koscher Neten, Nongtede,
without incense, without idols,
die Sonnpessel, ohne in Jani von
without any form of idol worship
wie die
whatsoever,
Sorge, viele nicht, aber die zwei, da wie die Sorge, um in Ruf, was
have been successful.
hier gewesen. Dazu darf man aber haben,
Two conditions, however. Are you listening, Andrew?
I'm listening, yeah.
Two conditions. What do you think the conditions are? We'll see what his
Embeddedness.
conditions are. Let's see what his conditions.
Embeddedness.
zwei in Jahren kommen hier. Aber das darf man
Firstly, such therapy is only for an unhealthy person,
nutzen auf einen gesunden, auf einen Menschen, was nicht gesund. Nicht nach
not for a healthy, functioning person. He's very right about this.
nehmen einen gesunden Menschen und von dem machen einen,
Who is living an active, productive life,
was nicht scharf ist, auf jeder Befehl, sondern lange gewollt, was in dem
including those who are unhealthy,
nicht gesucht von den nicht gesunden Menschen ist sicher.
are those healthy people who have persuaded themselves
Oder die, was haben sich eingerät, also müssen dann kommen,
that they cannot function without meditation. Such people are also unhealthy and need such things. But healthy people don't.
zur Meditation. Wo das Guf ist,
This itself is an ailment.
sicher machen. Darf man sein,
Secondly, are you listening? Secondly,
Mhm.
one must ensure that the meditation practitioner
da wollen, der, was sich mit Doppel sein. In dem Titel durch Meditation ist ein Munch in
is qualified to determine that which is allowed by Jewish law.
dem Ihnen, aber das ist nicht der Hefech als Schulchenolog, nicht der Hefech als Bisweiter,
From that
wie
which is
Sorge,
idolatry.
und nicht ein Munch
He must also be an expert from the medical standpoint
in der Gehe von Standpunkt, von Chochmas, Horefue, als wird es
to prescribe the meditation
geben in Asami Leben von Leipoches,
in correct measure, no more, no less.
wie bei alles am Mord,
For just like any other form of medicine,
Horefue, die mir wohl bekamen mit Chemis,
as discussed in the works of Jewish ethics and Hasidus,
gebracht, in Sifre Musser, in Sifre Chsidus, als am Mord,
medicine is harmful to a healthy person.
Horefue mit Hadatzman, ist das Hefech von Brisord, und nicht verbinden
And this should not be mixed with other issues. And this is where he actually gets to the point I was trying to get to.
das mit geseitigen Sachen, so da sehen wir, was
There are those who wish to achieve additional benefit.
vielen
This is talking to you. You're the one who wishes to achieve additional benefit, which the Rebbe says
verdienen dabei Echet, da soll sein
by offering Kabbalah meditations.
verbunden mit gesponnenes Dabken in Jonen von Roseteire. Ist a sichere
Meditation on Kabbalah and Torah's inner teaching
Sache, als ist Wonnes in Kabbalah, Roseteire ist a doppel Gottel,
is certainly worthy and commendable.
noch ein, der Hansel handelt
But here we are talking about fellow Jews
sich aber wegen Iden, was einer herangefallen
who have stumbled into a form of idolatry.
in Abisrael, da wird die Sorge. Ist zum allen
So first and foremost, they must be rescued from that predicament.
Menschen darf man sich Matzel sein von dem, mein du Matzel. Und nehmen ist es
If one is to stipulate additional conditions, you listening, Andrew?
Yeah.
What's he saying?
He's saying you don't do the whatever spiritual stuff before the material.
stellt Leute nicht so viel. Also darf
Requiring them to agree that the object of
Maskim
meditation
sein, die Meditation wir sein in Roseteire.
will be the mystical teachings of Torah.
Ist Korre,
It is almost certain that the vast majority will not be receptive.
Levadai, hat der größte Teil von sie wird nicht gehen dazu. Was dort,
The bottom line,
der Linie von der Meister Hua Yiker, also der die
those doctors who treat psychological disorders
Reifim, wo sie Inyan ist, wo sie verbunden mit Machlis an Nefesh, oder mit Nerven,
or emotional disorders and the like,
wie Kajitze bei sie. Sie das heißt,
whether they are called physicians
Reifistam oder
or psychoanalysts
Psychoanalytiker, Analyst, mit all den Nerven, wie
or some other title like a clinical social worker,
diese werden angerufen. Ist ein Chef
they have a sacred obligation to begin to consider this matter.
Kodesh, als sie sollen anheben, sich missbehne sein, und Maschlim sein,
And to supplement their knowledge,
ihre Ideen, was sie können
how to utilize the therapeutic benefits of meditation.
nutzen dem Titel durch Meditation, und unter demut ist
And
weiter,
without a doubt,
Dover, aber ich has mit das mit
when a kosher meditation method is properly publicized,
sein Befen am Massin, wird es gleich
it will immediately rescue those standing at the crossroads.
Matzel sein, nur die, die stehen auf der Roches Droche. Ist demut ist
Today, there is no such thing
nicht heute mit Zies, die mit Duber kam kommen von am Nummer Lachis
as a Jew who rebels for the sake of rebellion.
ist da mehr nicht
Today, it is only to try to fill an inner hunger.
der Ihnen von Litejorin. Also hat zwei
So, if he has two options, one kosher, the other not,
Beredes in einer Nefen Hakosche oder in einer Nefen Bilti Kosche ist eine sichere Sache.
he will at least try the kosher option first.
Als Kolpone wird Eisprung früher in der Nefen Hakosche. Und die Chance ist sehr,
And when he sees that it works,
dass Matzliach wird to sein in Nennu,
others will follow as well.
hier wird kein Jasto echt Fehl sein.
Even those who have already fallen into the net.
Aber die, was eine Schöne reingefallen in dem Netz, in dem Inne. Als ich sehe Matz,
Will be saved as well. Got it? Now, do you understand why I pointed you to this video?
Ah.
I'm not sure you understood what he was saying, Lord Dauntless. You're asking healing meditation must be in a Jewish context, law, and for Kabbalah, and it must be for a proper purpose. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that. I am glad you like it, President Foxman. You should appoint Andrew to your cabinet. So what was going on was a lot of people were going, and they still do, into Buddhist and Hindu yoga and meditation with gurus and all kinds of stuff with incense, etc. And what the Rebbe was saying is that there are some people who are trying to replace that with a form of kosher meditation where instead of meditating on I don't know, your chakras or whatever, you meditate on the Sfirot. And the Rebbe was saying, look, just because someone worships the sun and the moon and the stars doesn't mean that we suddenly say the moon is bad and the sun and the stars are bad. Obviously, they're good. But at the same time, you don't want to add these sorts of stipulations that, you have to now, if you want to get psychotherapy, now you have to have Christian counseling. Now you have to have Jewish counseling, that you have to have, right? No, you actually treat the person. Mother Markella, who is the abbess of the monastery in Dunlap, California. When Tim and Trey and I went and spoke to her before starting Fountain of Comfort, and I specifically went and spoke to her before starting a Fountain of Comfort, one of the things she said is that people come to her with people who have psychiatric problems. And just like people who come to her with cancer, she's going to pray for them and hope for a miracle, etc., etc., etc. But just like she says to somebody who has cancer, you have to go to a cancer doctor. She says to somebody who needs to go to a psychiatrist, you need to go to a psychiatrist. Mental illnesses have doctors too. And those doctors, while they should be good people and healthy people and normal people, etc., don't try to turn them into priests and nuns and monks. And Rabbi Wagner said the exact same thing. He said, when a religious person starts a plumbing business, he starts a plumbing business. And as a religious person with a plumbing business, of course, he conducts business as a plumber, right? In all the ways that the Bible tells a religious person he should conduct his life. But when people, and I'm sure our Protestant friends have seen this more than once, the people whose ministry is their plumbing business, and their plumbing business is a ministry of Jesus, and they start a church which does plumbing. That's not how it is. You don't need a priest, you don't need a monk to do your plumbing. Business church always ends poorly. Yes. And so when you go about trying to help people who have mental health issues, obviously you should do it in the same way that a plumber who is religious conducts his plumbing business, which is according to being a religious person, etc., etc., but you don't turn it into a ministry. You don't turn it into a ministry. And that's an important part of it. And so, Fountain of Comfort, that's one of the preconditions, is Fountain of Comfort, while the fact is, anyone who knows anything about the 12-step program knows that higher power and God is important, etc., etc., etc. Alcoholics Anonymous isn't a church. It can't be a church. It's not a church. You have to go to your own church. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, they tell you, go to church. Go to a church. Go find a church. And any reasonable psychologist or psychotherapist tells people, what happened with Ayaan Hirsi Ali? Fountain of Comfort and AA meetings in a Jacob stream. Lol, what a world. That is what Jacob streams are. Ayaan Hirsi Ali was going to a psychologist, and the psychologist said, your problem isn't, you don't have a psychological problem. You have a spiritual problem. And that's one of the things Jordan Peterson has recognized. People are going to social workers or psychologists, and they think of them as secular priests, and we're not secular priests. And part of actually doing things correctly is not pretending to be priests when we're not. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I get your point.
Okay.
So in terms of Fountain of Comfort,
Yes.
you have two options here.
Yeah.
You've got, whatever, get a bunch of money and do big job, right? And
We're not gonna.
considering
I
this
mean,
is
I was hoping for for a bunch of money, but we only got a bit of money. Yeah. So what are we gonna do with that money?
okay. This is
I have to write the book, and then we can distribute the book. That's what I have to do.
okay. There you go.
There I go.
And what else was I
And
thinking about?
I don't know, what were you thinking about? Now we can go back to Minesweeper.
I mean, you wanna like.
Do I want to what?
It doesn't have to be religious books. I mean, you could proliferate.
No, the book
Whatever.
isn't religious. The book is a children's
Yeah,
book.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
What?
whatever the hell Fountain of Comfort is doing, right?
Yeah. I've told you about the book, right?
Your programs are for, let's see, let's read it here. For professional development, peer counseling, public education.
Yes. So the book is going to be public education.
You could proliferate whatever Viktor Frankl or
I could, yeah, actually, it doesn't have to be my book. It could be Viktor Frankl's book. This is true. Although,
or even John Vervaeke. I mean, he's a pretty cool guy too.
Yeah, John Vervaeke's not a bad. Yeah.
And
so
also, I don't know how nonprofits make money, but it seems like publicity is kind of a big part of that.
So that's part of why. I mean, you get the book, and then you give out the book, and people are like, "Hey, I liked this book. Let me look at this Fountain of Comfort thing that put out this book."
So you know how
Nope.
What is it? The Mises Institute gives out free economics in one lesson.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, what if we just did Fountain of Comfort gives out free what's Viktor Frankl's book?
Man in Search of Meaning, I believe.
There you go. Big money. That's
We could do that. Not sure why we would do that, because
it's
his book is out of copyright, and it's pretty cheap already. So
That's even better.
That's even
is-
better.
That's even better, because you've got two problems with Fountain of Comfort. One, it's not doing anything, and two, it needs a source of income.
It does.
Well, you're complaining about not having enough money and then just kind of sitting
I'm not
around.
complaining about not having enough money.
Okay,
I'm
so
actually shocked at the amount of money I did get.
So you're not doing anything, and then you're complaining about it.
Yeah.
And when I say, why aren't you doing something, you say, oh, we don't have enough money. So it seems to me
Like I need to be doing stuff. Yeah, no, I need to be working on that book. Next week is going to be dedicated, among other things, to working on that book.
okay. So
You're right, Andrew. I should be working on that book. I've been meaning to complete that book for a long time.
you should. I really think you should proliferate man's search for meaning, or even Jordan Peterson, or even John Vervaeke.
Yeah. I mean, tell you what, if I don't actually write the book, that's what it will do.
Okay. All right. So
But
what's
I'm
the time
gonna-
frame, Jacob?
What's the time frame?
What's the time frame?
I will have the book done by July 1st.
By July 1st.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There we go. Big money.
You have forced me to give you a concrete date.
There you go. Big money.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm gonna have to write that book.
There you go.
There I go. There I go. I already got it illustrated.
He already has it illustrated. All right.
Yeah. I paid somebody on Fiverr $600 to illustrate it.
Huge money. Did you use Fountain of Comforts?
Nope. I use my private funds.
Why not?
Why didn't I use
Mhm.
Fountain of Comfort? First of all, this was before Fountain of Comfort, I think.
Okay.
And even if it wasn't, I don't know. I feel comfortable. Tell the story again. Yes, nonprofits don't have to pay taxes. More Orthodox on Fountain of Comfort board than anybody else. Well, Orthodox Jews. Let's see who's on the board right now. Father Stephen's godson Jules is Orthodox. Our treasurer Tim is Orthodox. Who else is on the board of directors? That's two people. Yosef is on the board of directors. He's not he's Orthodox Jewish. Trey is on the board of directors. He's what is Trey, Andrew?
He's Orthodox surfer.
He is. And Gage is on the board, and he's kind of sort of Anglican. So I guess we got two Anglicans, two Orthodox Christians, and one Orthodox Jew.
Perfect.
There you go. Claire's back. You love Claire. Okay, I think I'm gonna end the stream.
So what's the deadline July 1st for? Like you're gonna write it?
No, I'm gonna
publish it.
It's gonna be it's gonna be ready to go on Amazon. It should be ready to go on Amazon.
Ready to go on Amazon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Here, I'll play some of my favorite clips.
I'm not sure who Fatarecci is. I can't tell.
And I'm going to use host's prerogative to put the Reverend Parcells to bed because he does need to get up in the morning.
Sorry, Reverend. Thank you.
But before he goes, I have a question. Let's say, God forbid, that I were to burn somebody at the stake for not being a Trinitarian. And I did not repent of that. Is that a salvation issue?
Sometimes Jacob takes that devil's advocate thing too
Isn't there a
far.
proverb that says something like "Don't answer a fool according to his folly."
But there's a proverb that says answer a fool according to his folly.
There is. Exactly right. I'm going to leave it to you guys to determine, which of those was applicable in this situation as I go. So, but anyhow, good.
Thank you, Reverend.
Good to
Thank
chat
you.
with you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
The